So, Matthew, if we bump into each other over the weekend and I ask you, what do you do? How will you explain it to me? Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 sentences.
1 or 2 lines what I do. That elevator pitch. So FC Labs helps you to measure and manage and improve your brain health and fitness in the same way that your Fitbit or your Garmin or your Apple Watch does your physical. It's as simple as that.
So you are basically saying that brain health can also be measured the same way we measure physical health.
Exactly. We measure absolutely everything. Some of us more than others. If you're a professional athlete or you work in a high-risk job, oil and gas or construction or some high-risk manufacturing, or if you're in the military, you're a jet fighter pilot, there's data absolutely everywhere, from environmental data, but looking at the human body, it's all from the neck down. And we measure things in our daily lives and some of us become somewhat addicted to it. So we measure our steps, our sleep, our calories, our heart rate variability, all of these things. I mean, some things we now measure which most of us don't actually know what it really means, to be honest. There's almost too much data nowadays. But it's all from the neck down. It's all about physical health and fitness. And your Apple Watch or your Fitbit will tell you if it thinks you're stressed. But it's really just looking at your heart rate. It's looking at your heart rate, and if your heart rate's elevated and you're not running or exercising to elevate it, then it will guess that you're stressed, that your heart rate's higher than normal because you're stressed. And that's useful, but it's not particularly accurate. So stress happens in the brain, and unless you're measuring the brain, you're not measuring stress. To be honest, unless you're measuring the brain, you're not really measuring sleep, actually. You're just measuring things that happen while you're asleep and then guessing. So movement and body temperature, things like that, are used by your Apple Watch to guess at how you've slept. And what we're trying to do is help people to take the guesswork out of what's going on in their brains, because we believe it's, as you said, it's the next frontier. We measure everything else. We're trying to manage and to optimize everything else. We're using wearable technology increasingly as part of our healthcare systems to be more predictive, more preventative, to empower individuals to better understand and therefore to better look after themselves. But as I say, it's all from the neck down. We're not looking at the brain, which arguably is the most important bit. Without the brain, nothing else works. So, we think it's the next frontier.
You know, as you are describing it to me right now, it's sort of making sense, but it is also begging the question, then how come the big tech have not tried to do this or are not doing it?
Yeah, so we do see some of them are. So Apple have lodged patents recently using their AirPods with EEG sensors around the edge. So using that part of the head. One of the challenges actually with wearable neurotech, with looking at the brain, is that not everybody wears something on their heads, and it's quite a big ask to ask somebody to wear something on their head when they don't already. And big tech has tried this with glasses before, in terms of those, and they're starting to gain traction now, but there's been a few attempts by big tech.
Google glasses, they tried it and they failed.
Yeah.
And I think Meta had to go to Ray-Ban.
Ray-Ban, yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so it's getting there. They keep trying, and you can see in terms of the work they're doing, the products they release, and the patents that they're lodging, you can see that it's increasingly a focus. I think the biggest challenge for wearable technology is that they see the opportunities still with wrist-worn devices, so ones and rings increasingly now. So I've got an Oura ring on, which is doing exceptionally well. Still, the number of people using a ring as a wearable pales into insignificance compared to the number who are using wrist-worn. I think big tech still see those wrist-worn devices as the big opportunity for them. As I say, we do see them getting involved in the wearable neurotech space. Typically, it's buying up smaller companies. I'd be lying if I didn't say that being acquired by big tech isn't a potential exit scenario for us. We're developing something very, very specific, which we believe has mass market potential, but it's a lot easier to get that mass market potential if you've been bought by Apple or Google. So yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't think that was a potential exit scenario for us, because they've got a history of doing exactly that. So they are looking at it. I just think they've got other priorities at the moment, but we definitely are conscious that that's not going to last forever. And you see lots of other startups starting to enter the space, actually, which is good for us. It's good to be early. You don't want to be the first or the only one. That's never good. You want to be different in some way, but it's never good to be on your own. That's potentially a great kind of position to be in terms of first mover and creating a category, but it's a lot of work, and most startups don't survive that.
Wow, this is quite novel. And what moment made you decide you are going to pursue this? Because you could definitely be thinking, okay, this is something, there could be something here. At what moment did you realize this is something that is going to be your mission?
Yeah, it's our origin story is a bit. I'll try and keep it as brief as I can. So, I was in marketing for 20 odd years. I did English at Edinburgh Uni. Didn't really know what I wanted to do after that, to be honest, and just fell into the marketing game. Initially, festivals and events and things like that, and then what nowadays they call experiential marketing. So anything kind of live, which was great fun. Enjoyed it a lot. It then led into more traditional marketing. Ended up running my own agency with my wife, doing all sorts of things for all sorts of people, small local brands, big global ones. But then I think it was about 2015, 2016, some might call it a midlife crisis, to be honest. I think I was definitely getting a bit bored of the agency life. Not of that, we had some great clients, did some great work, but I think I just needed a change. And I think my wife felt the same as well, and she went off and did some very different stuff. But I didn't do anything that different, to be honest, but I started doing it for different people. So I did some pro bono, I worked with charities, started mentoring young people and young entrepreneurs, and also ended up working for a little bit of time in Codebase in Edinburgh, so working with tech companies. And that's where, I suppose, two things. One, that tech startup world just is pretty cool. It was exciting, it was different to me. And I also found that whilst I was surrounded by incredibly bright, ambitious, often much younger people, talking about things I barely understood, to be honest with you, they seemed to value what I brought as well in terms of the branding and the marketing and that side of things. So that was kind of great. That kind of re-energized me.